Today, any person with a smartphone holds more access to data than the greatest libraries of antiquity. Yet amidst this absolute abundance of information, our capacity to think deeply is quietly collapsing. You can feel the symptoms in daily life. A sudden, quiet room brings on a creeping sense of unease. Sitting down to read a dozen pages of dense text feels like a monumental exertion. To escape that friction, millions of people now default to a state of endless passive consumption. We pull to refresh, absorbing thousands of fragments of media daily, rarely pausing to let a single thought fully mature. We traded the demanding practice of deep reflection for the steady drip of low-level mental stimulation. Previous generations inhabited an entirely different cognitive landscape. They spent vast portions of their lives alone with their own thoughts. The simple act of delayed communication enforced patience. Writing a letter required a person to sit down, structure their logic, and physically commit ink to paper before a single idea could be shared. Even in the middle of a crowded commute, public spaces naturally facilitated individual focus rather than constant collective interruption. Because the environment offered fewer immediate escapes, society organically trained a kind of mental endurance. People learned to sit with an unanswered question. That mental endurance is now exceptionally rare, and a distracted mind is vastly easier to direct, mold, and influence than a reflective one. Modern technology is engineered to bypass that endurance entirely. Every scroll, every short video, every swipe trains the human brain for instant, effortless reward. This brain diagram shows dopamine pathways in action. As rapid-fire digital stimuli enter, the brain rewires circuitry, craving low-effort input. Observing the prefrontal cortex, the deep focus center, we see the cost. Overactive dopamine centers diminish sustained attention, making deep reading trigger physiological discomfort. The human brain is ruthlessly efficient. It adapts to whatever environment it repeatedly experiences, and we have placed it inside an ecosystem of endless interruption. This cognitive decline is not a lack of willpower or a moral failing. It is a forced biological adaptation to machines that punish deep focus. This rewiring of human neurology did not happen by accident. Human attention has been commodified into one of the most heavily extracted resources on Earth. Early computing required massive physical infrastructure, room-sized mainframes built to process heavy calculations. Today, the infrastructure is entirely invisible, consisting of algorithm-driven empires designed solely to harvest human time. The attention industry does not fight for a few spare seconds. It is engineered to capture continuous hours of your waking life, keeping you within a closed loop of consumption. A passive mind is a highly profitable entity. It reacts to emotional triggers immediately. It consumes products smoothly. And most importantly, it questions the narrative placed in front of it less often. Capturing our attention was only the first phase of this economic model. The second phase is removing our ability to think independently altogether. We are approaching a horizon where artificial intelligence evolves from a passive tool into a surrogate brain, eliminating the friction of human cognitive struggle entirely. The trap is absolute convenience. Just as personal computing mass-produced data processing, modern systems will mass-produce entertainment, curate daily opinions, and manage personal interactions. If we reach a point where an external system answers every query before we even have to ponder it, we must ask what happens to the human capacity for wisdom. The brain, seeking the path of least resistance, will permanently delegate critical thought to external algorithms, allowing its own analytical autonomy to quietly atrophy. A society that no longer has to struggle to find answers loses the ability to form profound questions. True intelligence is not the rote accumulation of knowledge. True intelligence is the capacity to sit quietly in an empty room, tolerate boredom, and synthesize an original thought. In a world that demands a constant, instant reaction, the act of independent, deep reflection becomes the ultimate rebellion. The rarest and most elite human skill of the coming decades will not be coding or engineering. It will simply be the ability to think for yourself. Protecting your mental autonomy, guarding your silence, is the only way to survive the digital reality we have built. Subscribe to Codex Aurum for more decoded truths hidden beneath modern reality.